It all shattered, really. Everything. The carefully constructed peace, the pretense of family. It just disintegrated right there in front of us. And I realized, with a cold clarity that still sits in my gut, that sometimes, the things you don't say, the battles you don't fight, they end up doing more damage than any outright war. What happened next wasn't just a rift, it was a chasm that swallowed our family whole. I suppose I should go back to the beginning. My name's Paul. I'm 43, an industrial safety inspector. Sarah, my wife, and we've been married 17 years. Our son, Alex, just turned 15. My job, it's pretty straightforward. I find hazards, I spot structural weaknesses, inadequate supports, those failure points waiting to collapse. I'm good at seeing patterns, at predicting problems before they become disasters. Turns out, I'm a lot better at that at work than I am with my own family. My parents, they're retired, live in a big house with a pool, maybe 20 minutes from us. Then there's my sister, Michelle. She's 39. Always been the golden child. 3 failed startups, every single one funded by mom and dad. Meanwhile, I paid my own way through community college while she got the university fund. It never really bothered me much. Not until Alex's accident, about 18 months ago. He fell through the rotted deck at my parents' place during a family barbecue. Shattered his L3 vertebrae. 9-hour surgery. Permanent nerve damage. Chronic pain. Most days now, he uses a wheelchair. And that deck? I'd told them it needed fixing. They'd nodded, sure, and then ignored it. They could have fixed it with the money they were wiring Michelle for her third business venture. I didn't sue. Didn't make it a thing. I just focused on Alex's recovery and kept my mouth shut about whose negligence put him in that chair. I knew that family reunion was going to be a bad day the moment Michelle showed up in her brand new Lexus. Not because I cared what she drove, but because Mom and Dad had told me 2 weeks prior they couldn't help with the $3,000 wheelchair cushion Alex needed. Too expensive, Dad had said. Times are tight, Mom had added. And there she was, Michelle, with my parents standing beside the car, all smiles, taking photos for social media. Alex sat in his wheelchair next to our 12-year-old Toyota, just watching. I could practically see the calculations happening behind his eyes. Sarah touched my arm, her hand a quiet warning. "Let it go," she murmured. 2 hours. We can manage 2 hours. The reunion was at my parents' house, their big backyard. But they'd set up all the food tables on the back patio, which was 3 steps down from the main level. No ramp. No accessibility consideration at all. I'd mentioned this 2 weeks ago, asked if there'd be a ramp. Mom had said she'd handle it. She hadn't. "Hey, Mom," I said, gesturing to Alex's chair, "where should we set up?" She looked genuinely confused. "What do you mean?" "There's no ramp," I explained, trying to keep my voice even. "Alex can't get down to the patio." "Oh." A slight pause. "Well, can't you just carry him down?" Sarah's hand tightened on my arm. "He weighs 140 pounds, Mom. The chair is another 30. And it's not dignified." "Well, I don't know what you want me to do about it now," she huffed, walking away before I could respond, heading straight for Michelle. Alex hadn't said anything. He'd gotten good at that over the past 18 months, at being quiet while people talked about him like he was some logistical problem to solve. "We can stay up here," Sarah said quietly, pulling me slightly away. "It's fine." It wasn't fine. We spent the next hour sitting on the upper level while everyone else ate and laughed below us. A few relatives came up to say hi. My Uncle David brought extra food and sat with us for a while. He'd actually invited Ryan, Alex's physical therapist, to the reunion. Ryan kept his distance, chatting with other guests, very professional. Michelle came up once. Big performance. Hugged Alex, took a selfie, posted it instantly, then disappeared back into the crowd. Later, Dad called everyone for a family photo. I started wheeling Alex toward the group. Actually, Mom said, stepping forward, maybe Alex can be in the back. The wheelchair is just, visually, you know. Sarah went rigid beside me. Visually what? For the photo. It's distracting. Can he stand for one picture? He can stand for 3 minutes before the nerve pain gets severe. You don't have to be so dramatic. That's when Michelle moved fast. She was behind Alex's wheelchair, hands gripping the handles, and she jerked it backward. Alex, honey, come on, she started, her voice soft and sweet. Then it shifted. I know this is hard, but you need to push yourself. Just stand for the photo. She shook the chair once. Hard. Alex's head snapped forward, then back, his whole body jolting, his face going pale. It's just encouragement, someone said. My Aunt Susan. I was across the space in 3 strides, my hands on Michelle's wrists, pulling them off. Do not touch him. Back up now. Michelle's face shifted. The concern dropped away. He can walk. He's being stubborn. You baby him too much. We're leaving, I stated, turning the chair. See? Michelle called behind us. He gets so defensive. Someone laughed. My cousin Mark. I saw him pull out his phone, but by then, we were already moving. Michelle's just trying to help, Mom's voice drifted over. 30 people stood there, watching Alex shake. Not one stepped in. Ryan, his physical therapist, had moved closer during the confrontation. When Michelle grabbed the chair, he'd pulled out his phone. Got the whole thing, he said quietly as we passed. The grab and the shake. If you need it. I nodded. Couldn't speak. We loaded Alex into the car. His hands were shaking too badly to manage the transfer himself. Pain level? I asked quietly, once he was settled. 7. Maybe 8. I grabbed the emergency pain kit, handed him water and medication. The drive home was silent except for Alex's controlled breathing. We pulled into our driveway as the sun was setting, our small house with the ramp I'd built myself, the widened doorways and modified bathroom. The space we'd created where he didn't have to prove anything. My phone started buzzing before we even made it inside. Text from my Aunt Susan, * Michelle's really worried about Alex. Maybe you overreacted, * another from a cousin I hadn't spoken to in 2 years, * family sticks together. Praying for you all, * Sarah's phone lit up next. She glanced at the screen and her jaw tightened. Someone posted a prayer request for our family. Says we're going through a difficult time and Alex needs support. Alex was in the hallway. He'd heard. Can I see? Sarah hesitated, then showed him. The post had 43 comments already. People saying they'd pray. People asking what happened. One comment from someone at the reunion, * such a sad situation. That poor boy, * Alex handed the phone back. Went to his room without a word. That night, after Alex went to bed early, Sarah and I sat at the kitchen table with her laptop. She pulled up Michelle's social media. The selfie with Alex had over 2,000 likes. Caption, * so proud of my nephew's incredible strength through adversity. #disability inspiration, #family first, #blessed, * the comments praised her. What an amazing aunt, so supportive, not one person knew that an hour after taking that photo, she'd grabbed his wheelchair and shaken it. She used him, Sarah said quietly. I didn't answer, just stared at the screen. She physically grabbed him in front of 30 witnesses and then posted about how inspiring he is. I stared at the caption. So, what are we doing about it? I looked at my wife, at the woman who'd spent 18 months fighting for our son without ever treating him like he was broken. I'm done choosing peace, I said. The calls started 3 days later. Not to apologize, but to tell me I'd embarrassed them. He's 15, Paul, Mom said. He needs to learn we can't always get what we want. Like standing in pain so Michelle can make a point? Don't be dramatic. She was encouraging him. I hung up. Dad called back. You've been different since the accident. Angry. Defensive. My son has permanent nerve damage because your deck collapsed. A deck I told you needed repair while you funded Michelle's business. Yeah, I'm defensive. Silence. That's not fair. You don't get to rewrite reality. We're done here. I hung up. Blocked them both. Ryan had sent the video file with a single line, * physical interference with a mobility device. Use it however you need to, *. Sarah started keeping notes, screenshots, dates, simple documentation. 2 weeks later, they showed up unannounced. Saturday morning, pushed past Sarah. Michelle with them. I was upstairs with Alex. When I came down, they were in my living room. We need to talk, Michelle said, voice soft. We're concerned about Alex, about how isolated he seems. Sarah was recording. He's getting everything he needs. Are you sure? Mom asked gently. People are worried. You've become so protective. I'm following medical advice from 3 specialists. But are you listening to Alex? Michelle leaned forward. Have you asked him what he wants? Get out. They stared. Get out of my house. Now, Paul, we're just trying to help, Dad said. You showed up uninvited. You're questioning my parenting. Leave. Michelle's expression flickered. You're making a mistake. People are watching. I pulled out my phone. You have 30 seconds before I call the police. They left. Mom turned at the door. We're not giving up on him. After they left, Sarah backed up the video. I called a lawyer Monday morning. Emily, disability rights specialist. Does your son attend public school? She asked. Yes. Are your parents listed as emergency contacts? I hadn't thought about that. Remove them immediately. Same with medical providers before they try something else. I spent Monday afternoon updating paperwork. Removed my parents and Michelle from everything. Made Sarah and Uncle David the only contacts. I called the clinic. Spoke with Chloe, a disability advocate. I need to make sure my family can't get information about Alex. I'll update his file. Add notes that they're unauthorized. We'll document any contact attempts. That weekend, they tried again. Sunday morning, they rang the doorbell repeatedly. Made enough noise that neighbors came out. I stayed inside, recording through the Ring camera. We're not leaving until you talk to us, Dad called. Then I'm calling the police. I called. 2 officers arrived. By then, neighbors were watching. The officers listened to both sides. One looked tired. This is a civil matter. Family dispute. It's trespassing. I've asked them to leave multiple times. He turned to my parents. You folks need to leave. If you don't, we can cite you for trespassing. Mom started crying. They left. The second officer gave me his card. File for a restraining order. Makes our job easier. I filed the paperwork Monday morning. Coach Miller ran adaptive sports. Alex had joined 3 months ago. Miller pulled me aside after practice. Your sister's been calling around asking if Alex seems withdrawn. If you're controlling. She's building a narrative. What did you tell her? That I don't discuss participants. But if you need it, I keep records showing Alex is thriving. That night, Alex was quiet. Why is Aunt Michelle telling people you won't let me see Grandma and Grandpa? Because the truth doesn't make her look good. People are asking me about it, but nobody asks me what I want. Do you want to see them? Long silence. Not like this. Not with them acting like I'm some tragic thing. You decide who gets access to you. 2 days later, a letter arrived. 3 pages. The last paragraph mentioned grandparents' rights. Potential legal action. They were threatening to sue. I sent it to Emily. She called back. They can petition, but they need to prove it's in the child's best interest. Your documentation makes that difficult. What now? Keep documenting. I'm sending a cease and desist. They need to stop. The cease and desist went out. Mom called within minutes. Her voicemail, *, how dare you? We're his grandparents. You're sick, *, I saved it. Uncle David called that night. He lived 2 blocks from my parents and was the only family member still taking their calls. They're losing it, he said. Your mom's telling everyone you've gone crazy. Michelle's posting about toxic parents. And there's something else. Your parents took a home equity line, $95,000, 3 months ago for Michelle's startup. I remembered being 23, asking them for $5,000 to get certified in a field that would have doubled my income. They'd said no. Money was tight. They told me they couldn't afford Alex's $3,000 cushion. Yeah, not anger. Something colder. Alex's breaking point came on a Wednesday in early October, 4 months after the reunion. Sarah met me at the door when I got home. Her face was tight. Michelle showed up at school today during lunch. Walked into the cafeteria with a gift bag. Made a whole production of it. Took photos with Alex, posted them before she even left campus. Alex told me later what it looked like from his table. He'd been sitting with 3 friends, normal lunch, talking about some video game update, trying to be just another kid eating mediocre pizza. Then the cafeteria doors opened and Michelle walked in. The room shifted immediately. Phones came out fast, like everyone could sense the performance before it even started. She spotted him, walked straight over, knelt down beside his wheelchair, even though he was at table height. Her voice was loud enough to carry. Alex, sweetheart, I've missed you so much. His hands went cold, stomach dropped, jaw locked tight. That internal panic of * don't make a scene. Don't make it worse. Just get through this * one of his friends whispered, is that your aunt? And suddenly, he wasn't Alex anymore. He was a spectacle. The disabled kid with family drama. Everyone watching. Michelle pulled out the gift bag. Expensive chocolate from that downtown place. Set it in front of him like an offering. I just want everyone here to know I'm here for you, always. Translation, reject me and you look cruel. She took his hand. He pulled it back. Please leave, he said, flat, quiet. Her expression flickered, hurt, concerned, perfectly calibrated for the dozen phones recording. I'm not giving up on you, honey. I'll always fight for you, no matter what anyone says. She stood, touched his shoulder, left. Alex sat frozen while his friends tried to pretend everything was normal. Then someone at the next table read the Instagram caption out loud, * never giving up on my nephew. Family is forever. # disability awareness # unconditional love * someone laughed. Someone else liked it. Alex watched the post spread in real time. Watched himself become content. That's when he realized this wasn't about connection. This was farming engagement off his humiliation. How did she get in? I asked Sarah. Substitute at the front desk. New person. They never checked the name against the restricted list. Just buzzed her in when she said she was family. And they just let her walk into the cafeteria. Didn't stop her until students started recording. Then they acted like it was a desk mistake, not a security breach. I found Alex in his room, on his bed, not in his chair, staring at his hands. Mom told me what happened. He nodded slowly. She brought expensive chocolate, the kind from that fancy place downtown, took pictures of herself handing them to me. Posted it with some caption about never giving up on family. Everyone at school thinks she's amazing and I'm the problem. You're not the problem. Then why does it feel like I am? His voice cracked. She keeps showing up, keeps performing, and people eat it up. They see the photos and the captions and they think she's this incredible aunt who won't give up on her disabled nephew. They don't see that she's never actually here, that she only shows up when there are cameras, that she grabbed my wheelchair and shook it 4 months ago. I know. I'm so tired. I'm tired of being the sad part of everyone's day. Grandma and Grandpa look at me like I'm broken. Aunt Michelle uses me for content. Random people at school treat me like I'm inspiring just for existing. I didn't ask for any of this. I just wanted to be a normal kid. I sat on the edge of his bed, waited. You know what the worst part is? He continued. She doesn't even know me. Like, at all. She brought chocolate. I'm lactose intolerant. Have been since I was 8. She doesn't know that. She doesn't know anything about me. But she's got 2,000 likes on that post about how much she loves me. You want to know something? I said, looking at him. You get to decide who gets access to you. Not me. Not Mom. You. If you never want to see your grandparents again, we don't see them. If you want Michelle blocked from everything, she's blocked. That's up to you. You'd do that without hesitation? Family obligations are earned, not automatic. I'm done keeping peace with people who treat you like a prop for their social media performance. He was quiet for a long time. I don't want them around. Not until they actually apologize. Like, really apologize. The kind where they say what they did wrong and how they'll do better. Not just sorry you're upset. Done. You think they will? Honestly? No. But that's their choice, not your problem. Something in his face settled, like a weight lifted. Okay. Thanks, Dad. The next morning, I sat in my car outside the school for 5 minutes, hands tight on the steering wheel, thinking about Alex in that cafeteria. The looks from other kids, the video spreading. I called the principal directly. We need to talk about yesterday. I've already spoken with the front desk staff. That's not enough. Michelle lied to gain access. She violated campus security. She approached my son without permission. She took photos and posted them publicly. Silence. I need her banned from campus officially, in writing. That seems harsh. Your staff gave her access. My son was humiliated. The incident is now on social media being used to paint a false narrative. Let me speak with the superintendent. And while you're at it, let them know that if my son isn't safe at this school, I'm removing him. The callback came 2 days later, not that afternoon. 2 days of waiting while my son went to school, wondering if she'd show up again. We're formally restricting Michelle from campus. Any future violations will result in police involvement. And the staff member? They've been counseled on procedure. Not trained. Counseled, like it was a minor mistake. I want written confirmation of the restriction. You'll have it within a week. End of business today, or I escalate. The confirmation arrived at 4:30. I updated the same restrictions with Chloe at the clinic. We've had 2 calls this week from someone claiming to be Alex's aunt. Can you document each call? Already done. Emily called on a Tuesday in late October, 5 months after the reunion. They filed a petition for grandparents' visitation rights. Once they filed for visitation, everything got pulled under the same case. Court date is 8 weeks out, early December. Can they win? Unlikely, but they're alleging you're using Alex's disability to control access. All lies. I know. Send me everything. Your documentation timeline. Ryan's statement carries weight. Alex will likely be questioned. He can do that. Good. Start building the timeline. That night, the kitchen table became a command center. Laptop, printer, 3 manila folders, a stack of sticky notes, coffee going cold. Sarah labeled folders out loud, her voice steady, but her hands shaking slightly. School. She dropped in incident reports, the cafeteria documentation, the campus ban confirmation. Medical. Specialist notes, physical therapy logs, pain management records, 18 months of proof that we weren't exaggerating. Trespassing. Ring camera footage, police reports, the cease and desist letter, timestamps on every violation. Social media screenshots. Michelle's posts with dates, the reunion selfie with its 2,000 likes, every performative caption saved and dated. I pulled up the reunion video again, watched it frame by frame, paused on the exact moment Michelle's hands gripped the wheelchair handles, the jerk backward, Alex's head snapping forward. Footsteps in the hallway. Alex stood there in his pajamas, looking at the spread across our table, the evidence of what his family had become. Am I the reason you have to do this? Sarah and I both looked up. No, I said. Clean. Simple. They are the reason. He nodded slowly, disappeared back down the hall. I closed the laptop, stacked the folders, put them in a black binder. Sarah watched me slide it into my work bag. If they want court, I said, they're getting court. It got ugly. Michelle launched a social media campaign. Posts about grandparents' rights, about disabled children needing family support. Never used names, but everyone knew. Alex's school counselor called. Students had seen things online. Uncle David called with updates. Michelle's startup is failing. 3 months behind on payments. Your parents' home equity line is maxed. They're scrambling. Why tell me this? Because desperate people do desperate things. That conversation would come up later. Emily told me it was good I'd held firm. The deposition happened 3 weeks before court. Their lawyer was smooth. Mid-50s. Practiced sympathy. He started reasonable, then pivoted. Alex uses a wheelchair, but he can walk. Is that correct? He can walk short distances with assistance and significant pain. His physical therapist recommends the wheelchair to prevent further nerve damage, but he's physically capable of walking with limitations that make it unsafe and painful. Your parents suggested he stand for a photo. That seems reasonable. No, what's reasonable is accepting that my son uses a wheelchair. What's not reasonable is expecting him to perform able-bodied for convenience. The lawyer made a note. You left abruptly. We left after my sister physically grabbed my son's wheelchair and shook it while demanding he prove he needs it. According to witnesses, she was trying to encourage him. According to video documentation from his physical therapist, she grabbed his mobility device without consent and shook it hard enough to cause pain and trigger a neuropathic flare that stopped him. One incident was enough to cut off all contact? It's not one incident. It's a pattern. The reunion was the breaking point. My parents funded my sister's businesses while refusing a $3,000 wheelchair cushion. They made their home inaccessible after I requested accommodations. They defended her. They showed up at my house repeatedly. 18 months of showing us where we rank. Emily objected strategically throughout. You did well, she said afterward. The video documentation is key. Alex's deposition was the following week. Do you love your grandparents? I used to. I don't know anymore. Why the change? Because they act like I'm broken. They wanted me out of photos because my wheelchair looked bad. They funded Aunt Michelle instead of helping with my medical equipment. They defended her when she grabbed my wheelchair. They keep saying they love me, but they don't act like it. Do you want to see them? Not like this. Not when they think I'm the problem. Not when they're fighting in court to force access instead of apologizing. If the court orders visitation, would you comply? If I have to, but I won't pretend. If they want a relationship, they have to accept who I actually am. And I don't think they can. Court day arrived in mid-December, 8 months after the reunion. My parents showed up with Michelle, all dressed conservatively, playing concerned family. The judge was a woman in her 60s. She'd reviewed everything. Their lawyer argued grandparents' rights, extended family importance, how one incident shouldn't justify complete cutoff. Then Emily presented our case, the deck collapse, the inaccessible reunion, Ryan's video, the unauthorized access attempts, the repeated trespassing, the pattern of prioritizing Michelle's business over Alex's medical needs. She presented Ryan's written statement, Coach Miller's documentation, Chloe's professional assessment, the school incident reports, the ring camera footage. This isn't about one bad day, Emily said. This is about 8 months of documented harassment. These grandparents had multiple opportunities to respect boundaries. They chose to escalate. The judge asked to speak with Alex directly. He wheeled himself forward. Son, I've read your deposition. You don't want to see your grandparents? Not until they actually apologize. For real. What would a real apology look like? Admitting what they did wrong. All of it. The inaccessible reunion. The $95,000 they gave Aunt Michelle while saying they couldn't afford my medical equipment. Defending her when she grabbed my wheelchair. Showing up after being told to stay away. All of it. And then showing through actions that things would be different. That's very specific. I've had 8 months to think about it. The judge looked at my parents. Do you want to respond? Mom started crying. We love him. We miss him. That's not an apology. Dad tried. We made mistakes, but cutting us off seems extreme. Still not an apology. She looked at Michelle. Anything to add? Michelle stood. Your Honor, I think, sit down. I've seen the video. I know the difference between a coached child and one speaking from experience. She turned back to Alex. You have the right to decide who has access to you. You have the right to expect that people who claim to love you will respect your boundaries and treat you with dignity. Those rights don't disappear because someone is related to you. She closed the file. Petition denied. The petitioners have failed to demonstrate that court-ordered visitation would be in the child's best interest. Furthermore, given the documented pattern of boundary violations, I'm extending protective measures. Petitioners are to have no contact with the minor child, his parents, his school, or medical providers for 12 months. Violations will result in legal consequences. She looked directly at my parents. If you want a relationship with your grandson, earn it. Apologize meaningfully. Respect boundaries. Demonstrate through consistent actions that you value him as he is. But you don't get to force access through the courts. She banged the gavel. Over. We walked out into weak winter sunlight. Alex looked up at me. Is it really over? For now, yeah. Behind us, I could hear Mom crying, Michelle's voice rising, Dad trying to calm them. I didn't look back. The months that followed were quieter. No contact, no surprise visits. The extended order worked. Alex turned 16 in February, started driving lessons with hand controls. His robotics team took third at regionals. He got asked to prom. Life moved forward. David kept me updated. He lived 2 blocks from my parents and they still called him constantly. Michelle's business had closed in January. She'd moved back with my parents by mid-February, about 2 months after the court ruled. They'd been trying to sell the house since November. The home equity debt made it harder. By March, they dropped the price twice. David mentioned they'd asked him for money. He'd told them to work it out themselves. Then in late April, 10 months after the reunion, things shifted. David called. Michelle's planning something. Her ex-business partner reached out. Said Michelle's been telling people your son faked his disability. That she has proof. That's insane. Yeah, but she's desperate. Business collapsed. Living with parents who can barely afford their mortgage. I called Emily. Let her try, she said. We have medical records from 4 specialists. If she wants to accuse a disabled teenager of faking, she'll discover what defamation law looks like. The article appeared in early May, 11 months after the reunion. Small online publication. Headline: When protection becomes control, one family story, carefully worded. No names, but enough details that anyone in our circle would know. Painted me as an overprotective father who'd weaponized his son's disability. Used edited quotes from anonymous family members. Left out everything that mattered: Ryan's video, the medical documentation, the unauthorized access attempts, the judge's ruling. Just enough truth to sound plausible, just enough omission to change the story. It got shared. Not viral, but enough. Emily called after I forwarded it. I'm drafting a demand letter. Medical records, court transcripts, the video, everything they left out. How long will this take? Depends. Could be days, could be weeks. These publications sometimes dig in. The demand letter went out. Comprehensive evidence packet attached. 3 days passed. Nothing. Emily called the editor. Left a message. No call back. A week went by. The article kept getting shared. They're stalling, Emily said. I'm sending a second letter, making it clear we're prepared to file suit. The second letter went out. Stronger language. Deadline. 2 more days. Then the editor finally called Emily. We were provided documentation by the source. Your source provided partial information without context. You printed allegations about a minor without verification. You have 48 hours to retract, or we file suit. We need time to review. You've had 10 days. 48 hours. That's generous. The editor called Michelle, asked her to provide documentation. She couldn't. The publication retracted the article 3 weeks after it was published, posted a correction, noting they'd failed to verify claims and apologizing for publishing unsubstantiated allegations. The retraction got less attention than the original article, but it was something. Alex's school hosted their Spring Accessibility Awareness Assembly in late May. Student organized. Alex had been part of the planning committee. The event featured students with disabilities sharing experiences. Local advocates talking about rights. Alex was scheduled to speak third. I arrived early. Sarah was already there. The gym was filling. That's when I saw them in the back row. My parents. Michelle. They'd come in through a side entrance. Michelle had convinced them, I could see it in their body language. Dad looking uncomfortable. Mom keeping her head down. Michelle sitting between them, looking determined. Do we tell Alex? Sarah asked quietly. No, let him focus. Alex's turn came 30 minutes in. He rolled up to the microphone. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm 16. I use a wheelchair because of a spinal injury 18 months ago. I want to talk about something people don't usually discuss. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the disability, it's how people treat you because of it. He talked about accessibility, dignity, the difference between pity and respect, about performative concern versus actual support, about family members who use disabled people for inspiration content but won't make their homes accessible. When he finished, the applause was genuine. That's when Michelle stood up. She walked down the aisle toward the stage. Alex saw her coming. His expression didn't change. Alex, honey, she said, that was beautiful. I'm so proud of you. She reached for him. He backed his chair up. Don't. I'm your aunt. I love you. No, you don't. Michelle's expression shifted. I've been trying to be part of your life. The principal appeared with security. Ma'am, you need to step back. I'm his family. You're in violation of a court order. Step back now. I reached the stage. Positioned myself between them. Leave. I have every right to be here. This is a public event. You're restricted from campus. You're violating a protective order. The security officer checked his screen. She's on the restricted list. Campus ban on file. Calling police now. That's not necessary, Michelle said quickly. No, I said, call them. Document the violation. Michelle's careful expression cracked. You can't. I've done nothing but try, and this is sick. You're sick. Alex looked directly at her. You took yourselves from me. Dad just stopped pretending it wasn't happening. Police arrived minutes later. School security provided footage. Officers' body cameras documented everything. My parents and Michelle were escorted out. That night, Sarah showed me her phone. Students recorded it. Posted it. It's spreading. The video was everywhere. Alex's whole speech, his calm response, his devastating line. The comment section had shifted. People who'd seen Michelle's curated social media now seeing the reality. Her performing concern, him setting boundaries, her playing victim when called out. The narrative was changing. The publication that had printed the hit piece issued a second statement. Acknowledged they'd been manipulated. Apologized more thoroughly. Michelle's remaining social media presence collapsed. She deleted everything within a week. My parents' house finally sold in June, 12 months after the reunion. Short sale, massive loss. They moved to a smaller rental 3 towns over. Michelle moved with them. Disappeared from social media. David told me they'd made one final attempt to ask for money. He told them he'd consider it after they wrote real apologies. They never did. On a Tuesday evening in late June, my doorbell rang. Ring camera showed my dad alone. I opened the door but stayed in the doorway. What do you want? To apologize. Really? Apologize? I'm listening. We were wrong. About making the reunion inaccessible. About defending Michelle when she grabbed his wheelchair. About the $95,000 we gave her while telling you we couldn't afford a $3,000 cushion. About showing up at your house. About the court case? About the article? All of it. That's better. But I need it in writing. 1 page. Specific. No excuses, just ownership. He nodded. I can do that. Does Mom feel the same? She's working on it. What about Michelle? I haven't spoken to her in 3 weeks, since the school thing. I let that settle. If you write that apology, and I mean really write it, Alex decides if he wants to read it. If he does, and if he agrees to meet, you get 1 hour. Public place. Emily present. 1 violation, 1 slip, and it's over, permanently. That's fair. Make it better than what you just said. Own it specifically. Acknowledge the impact. He nodded. Your son's speech. I watched the video. He's remarkable. You and Sarah did that. Yeah, we did. I closed the door. Inside, Alex had heard everything. What do you think? I asked. He was quiet for a long time. I think maybe Grandpa's starting to understand. But I'm not ready yet. Maybe in a few months. Maybe longer. Maybe never. That's up to you. What if the apology isn't good enough? Then we don't move forward. The bar isn't low. And if Mom never apologizes? Then she doesn't get access. You don't owe anyone a relationship just because you're related. Alex nodded slowly. Okay. Tell him I'll think about it, but I'm not promising anything. I texted my dad that night, told him Alex needed time, that if he was serious, he'd wait. He said he would. Whether he followed through wasn't my problem anymore. 3 months later, in September, 15 months after the reunion, Alex started junior year, made varsity robotics team, got his driver's license, started talking about college programs with strong engineering departments. That fall evening, the 3 of us sat on the back porch listening to crickets, watching the last warm day fade. Got my college list narrowed down, Alex said. 5 schools with good accessibility and strong programs. When do applications open? Sarah asked. October 1st. I'm ready. He looked at me. I don't feel like a burden here. That's the biggest difference. I'm just me. Not broken me or inspiring me or tragic me. Just Alex. That's all you ever were, I said. They just couldn't see it. We sat in comfortable silence. The kind that comes from people who actually know each other, who show up consistently, who don't need cameras or audiences. My job was simple: protect my son. Make sure he knew his worth. Make sure he never accepted crumbs from people who should have given everything. We'd built that. Not with dramatic confrontations or social media campaigns, but with 1,000 small choices. Protecting dignity over peace. Enforcing boundaries over comfort. Choosing his well-being over their feelings. The family we'd chosen, Sarah, Alex, Uncle David, Coach Miller, Ryan, Chloe, that was enough. Everything else was just noise. When do you realize that some ties are meant to be severed, not mended?